So we are going to start the second question and answer session, and probably we have received 2 more questions. And we start with the written questions. Yeah.
First of all, thank you for the chocolates, Bhante. I suppose they are all motivated, so they have written some more reports today.
So we have to give chocolates to get the reports. Okay.
Like small children, Bhante.
Yes.
You had 5 reports today.
Right.
Report number 1. Dear Bhante, walking meditation. I have been practicing mindfulness meditation for about 3 years now. For some time, though I was trying to focus on the steps, my mind was distracted and was heavily hearing the surrounding noises, and then the mind was going here and there. This was at the beginning only. Now, if I intentionally look at my feet, I can continue walking mindfully without getting distracted. Therefore, now while walking, I look at my mind. When the calmness increases, at times I do not feel my body. This is just instantaneous. Seeking your valuable guidance. Thero Saranai.
May I know who has written the question? Okay. Can you come forward? Yeah. Yeah, you can sit there if you like. So now what I understood is, now suppose that you are starting the walking session and starts with various sensations, bodily sensations, and after some time they very much like disappear, and now you feel kind of calmness, kind of a bodily calmness. Am I correct?
Yes, sir.
So at that time you are simply watching the mind.
Yeah.
So what are the things, are there many thoughts available in the mind, or there are less thoughts?
Yeah, less thoughts.
Less thoughts.
Yeah.
So what happened to thoughts when you are observing them?
When I'm looking at the mind, first, as I say, it's going around the surrounding.
Thoughts.
Actually, not. In the beginning, there are less thoughts in my mind. There are that sounds appear in my mind. Sounds mean there are some noise frequency.
Some noise available in the mind.
Noise mean that it's hearing from my ears, not in the surrounding here.
Sound of silence? Is it sound of silence?
Yeah,
like
sound
this?
of silence. Yeah.
Right.
And when in beginning, my mind focusing that in the surrounding mean what in my
sound of silence.
Not sound of silence. That one that and what happening in the from my eyes and that sounds. And after that, it's going to my steps.
Automatically what?
For my steps, automatically going to my steps.
Didn't get that. Automatically?
For my steps. I'm looking at my mind now. So it's automatically going to my steps.
Steps?
Yeah.
Automatically come into the steps, your attention.
Yeah, attention.
Right.
After more I focus to steps, so that my attention to the other things, sounds and other things disappearing. After that, that my body disappearing happen. That it's momentary. That I get blinking.
You get what?
That my body feeling disappearing.
Right.
That's happened.
Right.
It's like a blinking. It momentarily.
That's no problem. So you can continue. If this is it repeating?
Repeating. Sometimes.
Now assume that you start watching the mind, then thoughts disappear, automatically mind starts recognizing sensations in your foot, they also disappear, and then you get everything disappeared for a moment. Something like that. And again now thoughts coming and you are looking at them, again steps are available, that's also disappear, then like everything disappear for a moment. This kind of a cycle going on.
Disappear mean not disappearing mean my attention not going to there.
Going to there. Fine. Your attention not going to there, but where is it going? Nowhere?
Nowhere, that
Nowhere.
way.
Yeah. So I feel all right. Now anyway, what's happening in sitting?
Sitting mean most of the time I'm not doing anything. That I'm sitting in here. That I'm not like to do anything in there.
Fine.
So after that,
where are the mind established?
So some when I look in that, they say there are thoughts.
Right.
Thought mean not bigger thought. There are small thoughts coming in there, and feeling also small feelings in
right.
there.
Mm-hmm.
So when I'm more calm, that sometimes there are that same thing happening, but small
Small
time period
right.
less than that when I walking,
right.
but more frequently.
Right. So just continue. No need to change. Just let it happen without any change. So the thing is, now previously there are, say, too much thinking. Now later, less thinking, and you can separately watch a complete thought, and then a little bit gap or something, and maybe no gap, and there's another complete thought. Maybe at another stage. So before it is spending a long time, I am talking about a thought. Before spending a long time, it is quickly disappearing. It's very much like a fraction of a thought, half of a thought, something like that. That is how we perceive. That is how we understand. Very much like thoughts are about to come, but they are going. They are about to come, but they are not coming. They take a shortcut and go. Something like that. They are not coming or popping up to the surface and making a story. So that is not happening. Am I correct?
Yeah.
Okay. So, in general, if you are able to maintain a relaxed mind, are you?
Yeah, most of the time.
Fine. So, assume that you are doing some other work. During that time, is your mind talking too much or silent?
Now that in the normal, I'm going to office 3 days for week.
Uh-huh.
That time
Talking.
Talking. Other days I'm
Less talking. Good, no problem. I think that's okay, acceptable, forgivable. So, just continue. No need to change. Let it happen. You continue your practice as usual. What we are doing right now, mind will take care of progressing.
The problem I'm having, Swaminathan sir, that now I'm always waking up 2 o'clock.
Waking up 2 o'clock early morning.
So that moment, waking up that moment, I have calm mind. Right. After that, I'm going again the sleeping.
Going what?
Sleeping mean after that I don't have work, so I'm sleeping.
Trying to sleep, but
try to sleep.
Can't sleep.
The problem that my mind is again that going to. So I'm not controlling that moment.
Yes,
my
yes.
mind.
Right.
There are a lot of thoughts in my mind. So,
at that time.
Yeah.
It can. So the thing is, now say, how long are you sleeping? Maybe 5 hours? What time you
start 9 o'clock. 9 o'clock.
9 to 2. Not bad. Right. Because the thing is, now as we continue, mind automatically start resting. So on such situation, we don't need a long sleep. Maybe few hours sleep just to let the body relax, let the body to take a kind of a rest. More than enough. But in general, mind is in a relaxed state. On such situation, so we don't need a long sleep unless the body is sick or unless the body is feeling tired and lot of ailments, sicknesses, everything is there in the body. Mind does not want a long sleep. So it will naturally in a restful state. So that is something. So therefore, in general, if you are waking up early morning and mind is in a peaceful state, try to just do a walk and just go outside and just look around. So, before you even sleep, keep the mind in a relaxed state. So you can simply come out, just watch the surrounding, watch the sky, very far away objects, and keep the mind very, not in a limited environment, not in a constrained environment, not in a locked kind of an environment, but an open environment. let the mind get open, in a vast openness. So that will help. Then after that, probably you can come back to bed and see whether you can sleep again. Because mind may require kind of an opening rather than restricting, confining, narrowing. So that is not the way. So you may need a more openness before you go into sleep even. Didn't you get that kind of a perception in general?
First time in the beginning I try to work and do something, but I begin to about that time. I step and I against
no point of forcefully trying to make it sleep. It won't sleep. So now the child wants different type of toy, not the previous toy. Now the toy is kind of openness, kind of vastness, not restricting, not forcefully trying to restrain, rather let it open and see far away, and as a result of that mind become relaxed. And you might get some yawning during that time, several yawning might happen. So that indicates mind is now ready, the body also now ready, relaxed, and now you can try and sleep. Today you can see whether if you get up early, maybe I can meet you in the garden. Because it happens to me sometimes. So everything, same situation here. Because making myself sleep is utterly difficult. So I get even blamed while at Burma for changing the kuti, because even a slightest sound makes me awake. Yesterday, I don't know whether you heard, there were around, I think maybe 12 o'clock or something, there someone was lighting crackers. None of you heard? You heard, right? So crackers were there. So I was awake. So I was thinking, what the hell they are doing at this midnight, lighting crackers? They are not typical ones. They are bursting in the sky, isn't it? And they are doing it when I am about to sleep, boom. Then again I am trying to make me up, again boom. Then I was pretty tired, I want to sleep. But unfortunately several crackers happened yesterday. And again today, somehow got sleep. But around, can't exactly remember, maybe around 2 o'clock or something, again, without crackers, again I woke up. Then same thing I did. I came out, just look around and try to relax. Again went to sleep. And maybe around 3:45, again woke up. Now can't. Sorry. Yes. There's a question. Modit also can't sleep.
Adding what physically what even we learn from doctor during our deep sleep, especially 11 to 1, our purification done in our organs inside the ones, and 1 to 3 it will be the eyes and the top part. The purification is doing on that time. So it happens only in the deep sleep. So if you wake up, even if you can turn to the other side and sleep, that will be good to purify. Then you will be fresh after 3 when you wake up.
Yeah. Things may change. Now these are typically, say, good for a person whose mind is completely, obsessive thinking and all burning going on during the day. Now it's a complete shut off during the deep sleep, and that is only the resting period he has for his life. But a Vipassana yogi is completely different. So even say he's walking or talking or doing another activity, how about keeping the mind silent? So how long Buddha slept? Just 2 hours. So you can see, so kind of a restful mind is you don't need, unless the body requires it. Since body is a, conditioned phenomena, it requires kind of a rest. So we have to sleep. But otherwise, if mind is in a restful situation, so even while you are doing daily activities, mind is taking its rest. So you don't need a huge, long sleep if the body is, in its very good state, it's completely healthy and everything is fine. So you can maintain a very healthy mind. Then whatever the benefits that we gain through sleep already available. So these things are interesting areas. Now they are, not only unique to Buddhism, there are maybe various other yogis. And I heard a couple of, when I was talking to certain other yogis in Nissarana, certain actually female yogis, they are telling, they can't sleep, but fully awake. I can remember a long time ago, that's about 5-6 years ago, one female yogi was talking to me. She was telling, she can't usually sleep, but there is no any tiredness, and there is no thoughts even in the mind. Can you imagine? Typically what happens is, when the sleep is disturbed, there are too many thoughts and stressful, and tomorrow, the next day you can't work well. All the problems are there. Kind of tiredness is there. But there are some special cases, but even though they are not taking long sleep, their mind is very quiet, and that quietude is well, protected. So they are doing well. So things can change. So you can experiment. Right.
Bhante, I feel during unattached state also, you are like in a deep sleep, isn't it?
It's not, actually, that's the thing. So it is different, not in the deep sleep, but in a restful state.
Resting, and you are not tired.
I'm telling. Yeah. So even the daily time, say when you are fully awake, but mind is not agitated, mind is not defiled, mind is not burning, mind is in a restful state. So that is the relaxed, rejuvenating type of state. That's good. Okay.
Report number 2. Theruvan Saranai, Garu Swamin Vahansa. Day-to-day activities and mindfulness. Could you please explain how to be mindful when doing a lesson in a classroom? When I am teaching, I explain the lesson with the experience in autopilot mode. I see the students, and while teaching, I am checking whether students are attentive by looking at them. But how am I to check on me, or to be mindful of what I am doing? Much merits. Theruvan Saranai.
Yeah, very interesting question. So I think both sides are available in when we are developing mindfulness. So one thing is, we start with the body awareness. Say we are walking and lying down, sitting, and etc., etc. So the more and more attention comes to you. So that attention helps to develop body awareness and kind of a self-awareness. So not only about the body, now you feel about your own emotions, own feelings, own thoughts. So kind of self-awareness improves. And later you start feeling another person, how another person behave, how another person would think. So kind of a connection now happens. So that is how the interpersonal relationships are growing, and we can understand another person, we become empathetic about another person, connect with another person. So all these things are slowly developing. Now it is not unique or limited to yourself, but you can be with another human being and you can well connect and can understand. And as you said just now, when say in a classroom environment, so there are many students. At the same time, you being the teacher, so you feel about yourself and you feel about the other students as well. So you need to check why you lost your awareness. So we can't typically do that unless we being distracted fully to a particular student or particular incident going on. It can happen. Now say two students are quarreling, they are talking. So you get a little upset about it, you get little agitated about it because you are trying to teach your best and two students are not paying attention and you feel agitated, you feel unhappy about that, and so your mind start getting angry, getting distracted there. So at that time, if you are fully aware what is happening to you, after seeing those two students, how you are reacting, how your mind is coming up and trying to punish them or maintaining kind of a anger within you, how that anger might growing. So likewise, if you can observe what is really happening within you, that is really good. So likewise, as these are, in a way, we can't immediately become perfect. So as you said, sometimes we lose our awareness, but we know what's going on the outside. And sometimes we don't have any outside much kind of a connection, but we know what's happening here. So how to have both at the same time? Say, assume that you are talking. At that time, what are the thoughts available in you? Are there any defilements available in you? Say, when I am talking to you now, so I can see all of you. At the same time, I should see myself as well. So am I getting defiled? Say, am I getting conceited? Am I getting lustful? Am I getting angry because of some of your behavior? Or can I completely ignore you and do just what I want? That's also not connecting, no? So I should connect with you also. At the same time, I should not lose my awareness also. How to maintain both? Very interesting. I mean, these are challenging and practical things. So I think we can do it. It's not that difficult as far as I can see, because first of all, we need to develop our own awareness. So the self-awareness. So it will slowly allow to connect with the audience and get some kind of awareness, understanding, connectivity with the audience as well. Then we can see another person, how they are connecting, how they are interested or not interested, or what is the perception they might go through. A little connectivity is there. I feel that you may get it slowly. So it is not something I can teach, but you are developing your mindfulness practice, so automatically you will gain it. So any other ones comment? Any successful teachers? Any Satipasala volunteers who are successful in this? Who can contribute? No? Anybody? Okay. You have anything to share? Yeah? Satipasala.
Not in the Satipasala. Before I start meditation, I just teach. When I was at the university, I did teaching at a private place.
Right.
In there, what I did was when I get angry with the children. At those days, I don't know about mindfulness and anything. If I get angry, then I stop talking. And I didn't say anything for the students.
Right.
Because I feel if I tell something, it's not the right thing.
Correct.
Then I will go with my feelings. But now I think I developed the mindful at that time. I don't know about the mindfulness,
right.
But I have developed the mindfulness through my anger.
Right.
When I get anger, I get noticed and I shut my mouth. And
right.
I stay few seconds.
Right.
Then after I teaching,
right.
Continue teaching.
Right.
If I need to take action for that student, I will take later. Later.
Not at that level.
That level. If I
yes.
fully, if I come to fully relax, then
yes.
I get the action.
Correct.
I feel now I was able to develop mindfulness through that.
Through that, yes. So that's why, we also need to be careful when mind is in an agitated mood, when mind is in an angry mood. So we are not driven by the proper understanding. At that time, if we are talking, at that time, if we are getting a kind of an action, then it is driven by that anger. So that is this place that we need to better avoid taking action till anger goes away and we become kind of equanimous. We are in a kind of a middle state. The mind is not in a excited state, rather in a more equanimous, ordinary, unattached kind of state. So that is the most, we can say, best time for us to get a decision, either to talk to a person or talk maybe a little louder even, maybe in a hard tone or soft tone or whatever it is. So at that time, because we are not driven by the defilement, but we may be comparing the situation, what would be the best way of approaching that student, or what would be the way that we can correct that student. It may not be always the soft tone. Sometimes it may be a little louder tone, but not driven by anger. Right. Good.
Emotional intelligence, we call it.
Intelligence. Exactly. That's the correct term. Emotional intelligence and the literacy, emotional literacy. So we can read another person.
Report number 3. In relation to today's talk on Anidasana consciousness and its unestablished, boundless state, my experience has been that the senses literally do not hold on to anything. Example, seeing is seeing, etc. Thoughts may arise and can be discarded if unnecessary or utilized if necessary. Activity established as needed. Insight is also gained, but mostly it is a state of internal as well as external quietude. Mind chatter is at its minimal. Verbally, there is no real need to converse, and even external surroundings seem quiet, no matter how busy they may visually be. This has become a more frequented state. However, certain spaces can also enhance it. Besides observing kilesas when they arise, what would you say are the key ingredients to further establish in that state? Much merit to you, Bhante.
May I know who wrote it? It's okay, yeah. So I think it may naturally grow. So what we need to understand is, so the Raga, Dvesa, Moha are the ones now disturbing. Otherwise, this is a kind of a default state of the mind. So Buddha is taking us to this kind of a normalcy, kind of a default state of mind, but we lost that because of kind of an attraction, because of kind of an anger, some sort of an entanglement, some sort of a confusion. So we lost the home. But if the more we are not under the influence of Raga, Dosa, Moha, so the mind automatically resting at this state. So more and more it's a matter of empowering the mind with that wisdom, in a way we can say. So if the mind is fairly empowered with that wisdom, then it may not tempt to do any kind of constructions, fantasies. Avidya Paccha Sankhara. On the opposite, Avidya Nirodha, Sankhara Nirodho. Isn't it? So if there is no ignorance, so there can't be any kind of formations. So mind is in a kind of a natural calmness. So therefore, in order to achieve it, we need to practice. We need to continue the practice so that available defilements are more and more become weaker and weaker and ultimately uprooted. There's nothing to do. So basically, so that's why, very beautiful way, but sometimes Buddha explain it. You can prefer this Dhatu Vibhanga Sutta. I think yesterday did I mention? No. To someone else I think I mentioned. So in Dhatu Vibhanga Sutta, Buddha mentioned it like 4 pillars. So our practice is very much like 4 pillars. Chatura Ditthano Ayam Bhikkhu Puriso. Chatura Ditthano, 4 kinds of determinations or 4 kinds of pillars is this Vipassana yogi like. The first one is called Panyang Nappa Manjaya. So one has to develop some amount of wisdom to achieve that freedom. So Buddha encourages us to develop that wisdom, that investigative wisdom, Vipassana knowledges, so that one can achieve the freedom of the mind. So freedom of the mind won't happen immediately. So we as born into a long, far away from the Buddha's period, so minds are too much occupied, defiled. So we need fair amount of support coming from Samatha and Vipassana both in order to achieve this freedom. So this freedom requires some amount of wisdom to develop that, to achieve that. So Buddha mentioned, don't get delayed, don't sort of postpone the development of the wisdom. What is necessary? This wisdom. That is first thing. Next thing is, now if you are able to achieve this freedom, so consider that as your Nibbana. It's a kind of a temporary Nibbana. It is not the full-fledged Nibbana. Full-fledged Nibbana we can define as Ragakkayo, Dosakkayo, Mohakkayo. But right now what I am going to experience is kind of a temporary release of the mind, temporary calming of the defilements. temporary disappearance, absence of the defilements. So this we can consider as a temporary nibbana. Sometimes in the Dhamma it is used as tadanga nibbuti. So as a result of the availability of the wisdom, now you are experiencing some sort of a calmness, relax, peacefulness. And there Buddha mentioned you protect that. Satchang anurakheya. So you need to support that state, maintain that state. As much as possible you need to live in that state. Satchang anurakheya. And then what else you need to do? In order to support this, now you need to support into another ways. The third one is called Chagam Anubruheya. Now, so we are defining a self, we are making a self, an individual using many different attributes, and we call them as upadi. Various acquisitions are there, various upadis are there. Say you are identifying you as a woman, identifying you as a man, identifying you as a doctor, engineer, whatever, I mean this and that, and all these things are what we call as upadi. Different attributes, how to make a self. And Buddha mentioned, now you got to recognize them and relinquish it. Let them go. Don't make a self. Don't go for any kind of an identification. So that is the third one, where upadis has to be abandoned. Acquisitions have to be abandoned. So I-making, mind-making has to be abandoned. So in that level you are developing yourself. Chaga manubruheya. So chaga means, what is chaga? Parichaga. So giving up. Giving up the self-view, giving up the self-appropriation, giving up self-making. You need to notice that, give it up. Notice that, give it up. So say mostly, you because of some good activities, mind may be trying to make a self. Recognize it, give it up. Chaga manubruheya. And the last one is called santimevam sosikheya. So there may be still defilements available in the mind. They are the ones burning your mind. Now give up all those defilements. Don't let them burn you. So these are the four pillars in the Vipassana yogis practice in the Dhatu Vibhanga Sutta, very beautifully Buddha mentioned. So how these four have to be properly maintained. You need wisdom, you need to protect that release of the mind, and whenever I-making, mind-making happens, you need to let it go. And as much as possible, we need to abandon the defilements. Then that's the process. Very interesting. Good.
Bhante, you wrote a book on Dhatu Vibhanga Sutta, no?
Testing. Can't. Testing. Something went wrong. Make it.
My mic is okay.
Testing. Some noise coming, I think. Some sort of a noise coming.
Take that out, Buddha. Remove that and switch off that. The other one, there is another light, no? That may be coming through the plug.
No, I think. I think something went wrong. Now seems okay. Good. Yeah, that Dhatu Vibhanga Sutta, there's a single book available.
You did know, Bhante?
One of my favorite subject. Subject means I'm that very interested sutta. And I mean, what a beautiful way Buddha delivered the sermon to that Pukkusati. So really interesting. Many different ways he is enlightening the Pukkusati. Many different ways. Interesting sutta, if you can read it. And what actually happened was, I had to deliver a sermon at Nissarana Mehiniyarame. On the way only I got time to think about the topic. So immediately I got, okay, let me deliver a sermon on Dhatu Vibhanga Sutta. And I was trying to read it, but I can't understand. So a huge kind of a, depth is there. Only that time only strike to my mind, okay, there is a real deep teaching there. I better explore this. Somehow, on that day, I somehow managed, some surface type of sermon. Later, after coming back, I studied that thoroughly and studied it, and then did another retreat, maybe 10 days retreat using Dhatu Vibhanga Sutta. At that time, covered it full-fledged. Then got another opportunity to do it in Kalalgoda. I think we covered it, Dhatu Vibhanga Sutta, in English medium also. Excellent sutta. Really interesting. I mean, you all can go through it. How Buddha is looking at the progress of a Vipassana yogi from many different angles.
Report number 4, Gauravaniya Swamin Vahansa. In general, we talk about Udusita and Yatisita. In Buddhism also, do we discuss the same? I want to meditate, but my mind always says no. In practice, it says, don't force your mind. Then meditation becomes really difficult. You have to remain calm all the time. So who is forcing on mind? Whom I am forcing? The mind. So it is like two different guys are staying in a body. Who I am and who is my mind. It is confusing. Please explain.
Yeah. So I mean, you can say it's the Buddha's teaching forcing you or inviting you to come and see, to come and practice. And so in a way, some kind of wisdom, beyond the typical ordinary understanding is inviting you and see the things. So this is a kind of a motivation we have. Now say through a Dhamma sermon, through a Dhamma discussion, so we get a kind of a motivation, okay, I need to practice, I need to understand, I need to develop. So this is a kind of an inner urge coming. So that is it is required. So many terms we can say. So that's the chanda. We can say chanda, as a result of the chanda, that inner desire. So I am now putting some kind of an effort. So then when I am making the effort, I need to do some kind of a scrutiny, kind of a balancing. What's the best way of doing it? How to do it properly, a kind of a balancing of the faculties. So you can remember, so this there is a very beautiful sutta called Chanki Sutta. That also we covered, I think, here. So in the Chanki Sutta also Buddha mentioned how when a student become interested about a teacher and he feel confident about the teacher, he now approach the teacher. I mean, he first actually develops some faith on the teacher, saddha. So he's a good teacher. I better also talk to him, and he's a good one. So likewise, you develop kind of a faith, and now you approach that person. And after approaching, you do some kind of pairupasana. You associate the person. And now the teacher start talking, delivering some dhamma, and you are lending your ear. Sotang odahati. And ohita soto dhammang sunati. Now you are listening to the dhamma, the teaching, what is delivered by the teacher. So as a result of that, now you listen, you hear the Dhamma, and now you need to memorize it. Dhamman dhareti. Now you are memorizing the Dhamma. So after that, you need to do your own contemplation. You are, internally you do some analysis. Still not that you touched upon the truth, rather you think what the teacher has said. Is it correct? I mean, how it is well connecting, is how it is sort of helping me. Likewise, you do some internal analysis. Attang upaparikkati. So you are understanding the meaning of the teaching. So later, what happens is, so after you understand Dhamma Nijjhana Khanti, you come to a kind of a conclusion, yes, it is correct. Now it leads to Chandan Jayati. Now as a desire arises for you to practice. Now you are putting yourself into the practice. Now only you are jumping to the water. Now you do a ussahati. Now you are making an effort. Now you are doing, say, in our terms, say now you do your own practice. You are getting up a little early. You rather than sleeping till 8 a.m. Now you are getting up at 4 a.m. doing some mindful walking, doing some mindful sitting. At night also, rather than standing up or say sitting hours in front of the TV, you give up that, you do some practice. So likewise, you are now putting yourself into the practice. So that is where the Chandan Jayati, and then later you are Ussahati, that means making an effort. Ussahitva Tulaviti. Now as you are developing, now you need to do a proper balancing of what are the things that you are developing, you need to balance. So those are the faculties. Say what we develop in terms are the 5 faculties: faith, effort, mindfulness, concentration, and wisdom. So these are the qualities that we are developing in our practice. And when we are developing them, now we need to do proper balancing of them. And then Buddha mentioned, so after doing that, you are padahati, you are maintaining a continuous effort till you achieve understanding within yourself. So till that, what teacher said, what Buddha said are all external, but now only you experience it. So that is where Buddha mentioned previously you are what you call Satchānurakkhana. The second stage is where you Satchānubodha. You come to the doorstep of the Satcha, the truth, or you are very much like discovering the truth. Previously it is very much external to you, but now you feel it. It is within you. And Buddha said, still you haven't completely achieved it. Satchānupatti. And how to achieve it? Buddha says, repeat the same thing. Repeat the same practice more and more. Then slowly, ultimately you fully accomplish the Dhamma, accomplish the truth. Then only you become an Arahant. So very beautiful way it is delivered in the Chanki Sutta also. So how one is gradually progressing. Yeah.
Bante. Report number 5. Theruvan Saranai Bante. This is an expression of my thoughts after listening to the first question this morning. It is about difference of advice given on meditation by different teachers, John Kabat-Zinn and Bante Ji. I don't think even we should compare these two. Most of the Westerners meditate to gain material things, better and fulfilling. But Buddhist teachers, Vipassana leads us to liberation. By practicing Satipatthana, we develop Nibbida, Viraga towards material things. The Westerners' mindfulness and our Sati, within brackets Sati Sampajanna, are far apart. However, few Westerners who has passed paramis go beyond mindfulness and learn Buddha's teaching and walking the path of Dhamma to achieve Nibbana. I myself practicing meditation and learning Dhamma under various teachers, including you, Bante. I have realized that each teacher has their own way of teaching and practice according to their paramis. For an example, most of the suttas preached by Buddha are aimed at different people at different times according to their level of wisdom and paramis. Buddha had Indriya Pariyopana Jnanaya and Asyanusa Jnanaya. But I guess the current day teachers of meditation doesn't have any of these. So it's the advice given to yogis are most of the time So the advice given to yogis are most of the time common. However, through my experience, I think the yogis should be knowledgeable enough in Dhamma as to what Buddha has preached and to tally with your own capabilities and develop further according to the Buddhist teaching. This is where one needs Shutamaya Panya. Talking about just be as a way of meditation practice, I think it's a higher level of advice, as Bhante said. Throughout samsara, we have practiced lobha, dosa, moha, tanha, mana, ditti with a mind at the level of with a mind of that level. If one tries to just be, I don't think that yogi could achieve anything beyond tanha, ditti, mana, unless he or she has practiced in their previous bhava. Bhante, please explain and elaborate advice on this.
Yeah, I fully agree. May I know who has written it? Okay, yeah, correct. So actually, sometimes I like to emphasize certain sutta, Vibhanga Sutta, Satipatthana Vibhanga Sutta, so which explain 3 stages in Satipatthana. But the Western mindfulness only talks the first stage. So Satipatthana, the establishment of mindfulness. So there are many ways, many methods available to establish mindfulness. So establishment of mindfulness itself has many advantages, many benefits. So that is what actually we promote in the Satipasala. So we are talking only the establishment of mindfulness, Satimatre, as Bhante Dhammajiva put it. Bear attention. We are not trying to teach them, to become, to understand Four Noble Truths or everybody to become Arahant. So that is not the goal. So we are simply trying to establish their mindfulness. So either walking, mindful games, and all these things, and so it's a kind of a daily activities. And every time you can establish mindfulness, you can do it mindfully. That itself has a lot of benefits. Many benefits are there. And so the Western mindfulness is very much using that in many different ways. So that is being sort of harnessed. That is why, so that become very popular. And you can use it in many different ways. But on the other hand, Buddha mentioned 2 more stages. So Satipatthana Bhavana, the second stage. Satipatthana Bhavana Gamincha Patipada, the third stage. So Satipatthana Bhavana stage is where the insight practice is available. You are doing the Vipassana meditation. Say, after you establish mindfulness, now you do a thorough investigation into where you already established your mindfulness, your attention. So what happened to these different phenomena? And those phenomena are not mere kind of conventional things. You are not being mindful about holding a clock. Rather, how you feel onto your hand, not even to the hand, say count of touching sensations and heaviness or lightness. So we are now coming to a very fundamental level of sensation level. So at that level, we are now trying to do a kind of an investigation, which leads to a thorough understanding about the conditioned phenomena, how they behave, what are the insights. So that is where the Satipatthana Bhavana happens. Development of the mindfulness happens at that level. And then, ultimately, as a result of that developed wisdom, so mind one day assume that become free. Now you need to maintain that freedom. Live in that freedom, maximize that freedom, but you can't do it unless you have a patipada. You need a full-fledged path to achieve it. So that is where you come up with the patipada, Sila Samadhi Panya, as the Noble Eightfold Path. Satipatthana Bhavana Gaminincha Patipada. So as Bhante Gunratana mentioned, so the Buddhist mindfulness has the broader spectrum on these 3 layers, we can say, these 3 stages. But the typical Western mindfulness only talks about the first stage. And they are, as she has mentioned, so they are trying to do a kind of materialistic further accomplishment, happiness, using mindfulness. But, as again she mentioned, so there are some figures who have more paramis or more talent. They have a different eye. Rather than stopping at the establishment of mindfulness, they go beyond that. So those are the early Buddhist teachers like Joseph Goldstein, so many Buddhist monks even actually. They are not talking just establishment mindfulness. So they are talking beyond that. So many Buddhist monks are there, Western Buddhist monks are there. They are talking the complete spectrum, not just limited to this thing. But many others, say some doctors and some typical mindfulness teachers, so-called, so they talk only about the first stage, just during a counseling process, for example. A particular yogi is going through some stressful situation. So in order to overcome stress, probably you can go through a typical mindfulness session, like John Kabat-Zinn's one, MBSR, mindfulness-based stress reduction. So those are some methods available. So while eating you can become mindful, while walking you can become mindful, so mind become relaxed, stress relieved. But no insight meditation, no Vipassana meditation, no Noble Eightfold Path, so those are not talked. Anyway, something is better than nothing. Problem is, here in Sri Lanka, if Bhante Dhammajiva didn't start Satipasala, who else is talking even that? Isn't it? So we all think we know Satipatthana. And Satipatthana, no. That's something, no. Meditation, no. And so we ignore all this. And while Westerners are getting the benefit from mindfulness, we are simply thinking we know mindfulness and we never practice mindfulness. But Westerners, they practice mindfulness. Remember that. Not theoretically simply arguing, rather they practice mindfulness. So at least they are benefiting in that level. And then only one most, say, as we can see, the talented ones may even go to the next level rather than hanging on, stopping themselves, restricting themselves onto the first level. They can even go to the next level. So that's why, even in the school children level or academics or whoever, so when we start practicing, there may be inner kind of potential, sometimes growing. It may ask you to further practice. Who knows? Isn't it? So how we know that what is our own potential? So once we are practicing only, so these inner potentials are waking up, urging you to continue, urging you to, say, explore more, investigate more. So likewise, so kind of catalyzing the inner potential by just developing the basic type of mindfulness. Later, if a potential is there, it will explode. So you can pass the mic.
What I wanted to say was like mindfulness without panya will lead you somewhere else. Now, someone can be very mindful and do unwholesome acts.
Correct.
Then,
that's right.
So the mind, both should come. What I feel is both should come together. Panya,
exactly.
Wisdom.
Exactly. Sati panya and mindfulness and wisdom has to go together. So the beginning of that is where mindfulness is get connected with the sampajanya.
Yes.
So you start little bit of not mere mindfulness. You start little investigate about where you being mindful, onto which you being mindful. You do a little bit of analysis about it. It is not thinking, rather being little bit exploring what is happening there, examining what is happening there. So that is the seed of panya, seed of wisdom that we are sort of trying to plant. Like
Exactly. Thank you, Bhante.
Yeah.
Bhante, in the morning talk, I heard the mind is luminous. What is now? I can understand nothing in the mind, but they say mind is in that state luminous. What do you mean? How?
That is pabassara. Pabassara does not mean that it is lighted or illuminated. Rather, luminous there means kind of clarity, the transparency of the mind. Now, say for example, when mind is now assume
not occupied.
Into my vision. Now, say I am taking two of these. Now, through this, now I am looking at two. So, is my mind luminous? My vision being covered, right, hindered by these two objects. Now, I am taking this out. So, my vision is somewhat clear than previous. Now, I am taking this out. Now, my vision is fairly clear. Similar thing happen in our mind also. So our mind being obstructed because of various attachments, various thoughts, various perceptions, various signs. So it is not luminous.
Okay.
So the clarity, the transparency, the penetrative type of way of looking at things is not available. So the Vipassana practice is taking out all these blockages, all these hindrances, all these signs, perceptions, conditioning, coloring, and then it is naturally luminous. You don't need to do anything. What you need to do is avoid getting further, blocking it. Further, adding anything, rather maintain the luminosity, protect that.
Okay.
So that's why Buddha mentioned, Satchang Anurakhiya. Now you maintain that.
Okay.
Naturally, then it is luminous.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it is not something artificial that Buddha is trying to sort of create like.
Yeah.
So it is very much like we are preparing the necessary conditions so that the inner luminosity becomes more and more brighter or available, something like that.
It means not attached. Luminance means not attached to anything. Luminance means the mind is that time not attached to anything.
Anything, yes.
Okay.
Not blocked with anything, not hindered by anything.
Yeah.
So it may have the penetrative wisdom.
Okay.
It can see through life.
See through. Okay.
Okay. Those are the all questions we have received. Anyone else has anything to say? Johan? Nothing?
Sorry, Bhante. I just wanted to comment. Before I came to Nissarana, I was a teacher as well for a brief while. And it was very stressful for me. I would get very emotional trying to control the children. And I think I wanted to maybe it's better to cultivate mindfulness at home with a sitting practice than trying to do it in class.
In class?
Yeah, before you go to class, you prepare your mind, cultivate mindfulness at home, and bring it to a state of effortless mindfulness.
Mm-hmm.
I think that would be much easier than trying to establish mindfulness in class.
In the class, yes.
Yeah.
So that's why the teacher has to be a mindfulness practitioner.
Yeah.
So no point of teaching to the students unless the teacher is practicing. So that is where sometimes recently Dr. Thero actually mentioned to us how they have done a whole-scale research in UK about the success of the mindfulness initiative. And the results are indeterministic. Why? Teachers are not practicing enough mindfulness. The problem is not with the students, but with the teachers. So, without practicing mindfulness, teachers by themselves, they are trying to inculcate mindfulness within the students. Model doesn't going to be successful. So the teacher himself have to practice mindfulness, then only the teaching students that become successful. So same thing here in Sri Lanka also. So sometimes we get some photos. So students are meditating, teachers are talking to each other or just looking at like this. But students are meditating. It's not going to work. So actually the teachers are the ones, but they really need practice. They are the elders who are having many problems and stress and all these things than the students. So if they can get the advantage of this opportunity while teaching mindfulness to other students, from that time they also can practice and they also can eliminate the stress they have. So kind of a win-win situation for both sides. But the teachers, very difficult. They are teachers now.
Yes, I was thinking for Satipasala, instead of us teaching mindfulness using these audios, isn't it like you said, it's better if the teachers themselves practice and then teach the students themselves meditation?
Can you repeat the practice and then teach?
No, we are doing the mindfulness program in all schools right now. Instead of doing audios, like you're saying that the teachers should practice meditation, become teachers, become meditators themselves, and then
teaching,
then teach. But don't they want to do that?
Definitely, they have to. So that's why we are promoting that. Now say at Nissarana, we know that we are teaching to teacher trainers, teachers, Pirivena teachers. So many trying. But the thing is, they have a lot of other things.
Yeah, but it says
occupied with so many things, they are not spending enough time to develop themselves. But some are there. So they talk louder. They talk really appreciative about the situation. So among, say, assume that there is a 50-member group, some actually catch it, they become really interested, they volunteer it, and they really want to practice. So some are, these are the people who ignite the potential within themselves. And they then voluntarily, wholeheartedly, they start teaching. But others are simply teaching just because the curriculum, curriculum, right? Curriculum is there.
Start the Satipasala. Then he said, yes, in the morning they played the audio. We are not caring. Then I feel sad at that time because I thought it's because of not the trained teachers.
Yeah. So very difficult. It's a mass scale program. So how to teach everybody to the same level? Very difficult. Anyway, we are. Anyway, any kind of this kind of situation will take time to establish. It depends on how enthusiastic the principal is, how enthusiastic the main governing body. There's a key people in the school who are initiating this kind of program. So they have to find themselves interested. Then it will grow. But otherwise, simply following the department curriculum, not going to be successful.
Yeah, they are playing the audio.
Playing just the audio.
Yeah, if trained teachers are there, they will.
They do themselves.
Yeah.
I have seen even in Jaffna. So I received a couple of images. So they are playing their own audio, their own Tamil music and all these things. Some appropriate music, and then they do the walking. So they have to be more creative. They don't need to blindly follow what we do. So when they learn the fundamentals, when they learn the teachings, they can properly adjust it to according to their setup and implement it. No problem in that. So Bhante Dhammaji, you don't want to restrict it to only to a kind of a very narrow thing, but we can properly adjust it. So let's see. Okay, it's 1 hour and then we'll stop it here, and we'll start the Dhamma sermon at 4 p.m. Thank you very much for participation.